Hi, it's Joy, and today we're watching House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing, which makes me think of sowing the fields with red, sowing the fields with blood, a huge bloody battle. I don't know. This is the penultimate episode of this incredibly stressful show. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go. I assume he's going to say, like, I'm loyal to you, Rhaenyra. Dragon picked me. The question is, does this mean Laenor is dead wherever he is? Or is it just that this guy being his half-brother is close enough to Laenor that Sea Smoke's like, he'll do.
And to serve my queen. Your Grace.
I want to finally be noticed the way I should have been all my life. She's like, well, this isn't how I thought we were going to do it, but I do need Dragon Riders.
My father is no one of consequence.
Your ancestors, you have done something I feared impossible. Adam of Hull.
I mean, he's as Valerian as your sons, my love. It's not that impossible, but she has no way of knowing that. This is very good for Team Rhaenyra.
Nothing is clean here.
There are no rat catchers anymore.
The queen is unharmed.
What of the rider? Do we know who he is?
He appears to be a shipwright. She wishes him to be instructed in the art of dragon riding. And
She needs all the dragon riders he can get.
Nothing about this man. Her Grace sends word she will not be attending.
So he serves you, and not himself. That it's lucky.
She's speaking with the only counsellor whose advice she actually wants.
I can find others with a more direct line of breeding.
It's not going to be in any books.
You speak of the lowborn.
They are as like to serve you as highborn lords or ladies, perhaps more.
Like Adam of Hull.
The order of things has changed, Your Grace. Why not embrace it?
This period is definitely something that tarnishes kind of the great mythos of the Targaryens. Not all the way, of course, not because they're still Valyrian dragon riders, but they're somewhat less untouchable and decimated in number.
This realm levied. Let us raise an army of bastards.
And why not? Why didn't you claim me as your father?
Well done.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, so House Tully is now bringing their troops. Even though he insulted and turned away every single other member of the Riverlands, House Tully is like, we gotcha. And so the rest will follow.
My condolences on the passing of your grandson.
I know I suggested you smother him with a pillow, but...
To the head of your house.
It does seem to me that you've made rather a mess here. Countenancing barbarities in the Queen's name.
Whose side are you on?
His own and his people's, most importantly. Brave
The
kid.
Riverlands are held together by oaths, as her king consort.
Good.
It's a brave kid.
And there is another problem.
Okay.
They'll hate you.
This kid is brave. Damon probably quite likes that he's brave.
But I hope to begin well and go on from there.
Well said. One thing is clear. The
Damon.
Ringmen honor the old ways and abide by tradition.
Maybe let the kids speak. They might listen to him.
Tully is dead.
And I have no love for Daemon Targaryen. He has dishonored himself and the crown with his comportment here.
I love this kid.
Nevertheless, no matter how loathsome I may find her representative, the Prince King.
Mind your tongue, boy.
I mean, Damon, play the Game of Thrones here a little bit, okay? Because you want them on your side. They all hate you. So if this boy comes out and is bowing and scraping to you, they're going to be like, okay, the kid's a bit green. I'm going to go home now. Like... Unless Daemon is playing the game by giving the boy something to prove by standing up to him, which will prove himself to all his lords.
The old ways call for justice to be done.
Yes. Justice has been done.
Against the Brackens. Is he going to punish him?
But
For his crimes.
I am Lord Par-
Command them. I've only served you.
You're a pawn in this. He wants an army.
and to prove himself deserving of our banners, he must now rectify his grievous
Oh my
actions,
god.
denounce your crimes,
Okay. I thought he was going to say chop your head off.
and dispense justice.
Oh, maybe he is saying chop your head off.
Oh dear.
You ask your grace. I've been faithful.
Yeah, faithful to Daemon Targaryen. Doesn't have a single scruple about doing that. Maybe he will have some scruples tonight. Because he is starting to be haunted by the actions he has taken.
What is this?
This is your brother at his worst when you left him and chilled on an island, sleeping with his daughter.
Do you want it still?
Is he going to ultimately come around to deciding he doesn't want it? He's walking.
I can't.
I'd have more sympathy if he wasn't a rapist. Repeat offender rapist.
Not me.
He is ingratiating himself with Aegon in the hopes that Aegon will grow stronger and regain his power? Or is it out of some genuine sympathy for him? I don't think so. Do you want a dragon?
My lord. Our people are of old Valyria.
Oh, we're our people now.
Knew little of your mother's heritage.
Okay.
If it is...
Okay, so I was just assuming he could dragon ride because the Valyrian heritage through the Valyrians, even though the Valyrians don't have dragons. I just assumed that they were dragon lords because they were Valyrian. But is that not the case?
Something in the blood.
Because even Laenor and stuff, it's Rhaenys by this order. Is she gonna claim this wild dragon? Forgetting if they got Rhaena to try with Sea Smoke when they knew Laenor was alive, they kind of set her up to fail. Come on, people in the entourage, like there must be guards looking after her as well. I know the princes are the most important children, but is this like a pilgrimage?
The lowborn claiming dragons. Was it her idea?
Oh,
Lady
jeez.
You're into these people are courageous. Mongrels.
I love this show because we love Jace. He's not a bad person, but he is a superiority complex, noble-born, privileged little boy. Is that a word that's been thrown at him before because he's a bastard?
I know well what is at stake.
Or is he upset because people will say she's so fond of bastards because she has some as her own, and he'll, like...
House Targaryen is the blood of... Did you think I would have dark hair?
Oof.
Or did it not cross your mind?
Jesus. We're having this conversation.
I'm no fool, mother. But I cannot gainsay that which the gods have laid before me.
But in another life, she and Alicent could have just been married, or best friends, however you want to look at it. Super pious women together.
Post leave tonight. Hour of the bat.
It's your moment. Unless you've been talking a big game.
You've been taken in.
Where is it?
There's the elf I know.
Yes. There he is.
So I don't know whether or not he's been lying, or whether he thinks maybe my mum just told me a story.
I could not keep our girl alive.
Is the child dead? Just take a moment of settling yourself in nature, figuring out who she is and what she wants, without the expectations of the world pressing in on her. She never had any choices in her life. Her life has just been one of pain and suffering, trying to do the right thing for everyone but herself. Mildly concerned she's suicidal at this point. I don't like, can you at least line up in like who thinks they're the direct child of a Targaryen, who thinks they're a grandchild? You know, like he's like, but these are the small folk. My lady, they are commoners.
Some of you may welcome the prospect of change.
They said we'd get vegetables if we came here and meat.
Even
Good luck.
may the gods bless you.
Good luck, essentially. With all of them here, how will they know which one he's picked? I assume it's going to be the characters we know. Jesus, they're going to have to go forward one by one. She's not even going to watch. Okay, she is going to watch. But she's got her own private box. This guy's going to get eaten or burnt. Christ, how many of them did he get? Let them through if they want to run. This was the most likely outcome. Did any of them survive to claim the dragon? He might succeed in claiming him, somehow. This was an effective way of wiping out Targaryen bastards. Gather them all up and let a dragon eat them. Why didn't Cersei think of this? Maybe he's had his fill, he's not hungry anymore? He is brave. He is a good man. He stole some food from a guy, but that is incredibly brave. Here I am.
I'm ready.
I think you maybe got yourself a dragon. Friend. Yeah, like 50 people died, but we got one. And that's what counts for this war. If this bitch stumbles across the other dragon and manages to claim it. I have nothing greatly against the man, just all the people. Keeping him away from the eggs. Right? But is he like, you'll do. I'll have a friend.
Tonight our host will be unstoppable.
I feel like we're being attacked by several dragons. Or at least they're flying over to show that they have them as a show of force. Is this an intentional show of force, or did he just end up here? Like, did he just ride off and come here, or did Rhaenyra want him to come here? Because has he given the game away to them that the Greens wouldn't have known? Is he flying over Dragonstone like you flew over our home, we fly over yours? They outnumber you now. She's got the most nukes now. Something quite satisfying in seeing Aemond have to flee. So there's one episode left of the season, and I don't know what is going to happen in it. Like, Daemon is finally getting his force together. He's finally going to have an army. The Greens have armies sort of scattered around in bits and bobs that maybe will come together. So maybe there'll be like a big battle, and the Greens have fewer. They still have the biggest dragon, but the Blacks now have many more dragons, and the Greens are down a dragon. They only really have Helena's dragon and Daeron, but Daeron has just started flying his dragon, so I don't think that's going to be particularly big or useful. Yeah, the tide has turned. It is not looking good for the Greens. The Blacks have pulled it back out of the depths of despair. Now, so many interesting twists, like, not even twists, but just developments and things that you can see how they're going to reshape the realm. The fact that these lowborns, these small folk, these people who are just bastard Targaryens, have been elevated to this status. They've been given this rank. Jace is right to think it will irrevocably damage his legitimacy. Now, the truth of it all is, if Rhaenyra were to manage to accede to the throne and to rule peacefully for 40 years and then die with Jace, a grown man who's been her hand for many years, there's a good chance, even with people being like, we know he's a bastard, there is still a very good chance the succession would happen peacefully if the realm was stable and peaceful, and his brothers had grown up to love him and not to be jealous or whatever. There is still a good chance, even with everyone knowing Jace was a bastard, that it could be a legitimate handover. The only issue there would be if any of his brothers were to say, hey, I should be king because I'm a true Targaryen. Now, he's not wrong in that if you tell the small folk, hey, you can have dragons too, maybe they're going to turn around and say, well, why don't we have as much power as you? If we are just as capable of dragon riding as you, why do you get the fancy castle and we get the little hovels? You know, it could spark a revolution. It's not going to, but it could. And it was quite interesting to see that kind of the first time Jace has really brought up the nature of his birth to his mother, and in such an accusatory way. You can kind of see that there have been times he's thought things would be so much simpler if you just didn't sleep with somebody who obviously was going to give you bastards. Like, it's just very kind of to see that all this hurt he's caused, that he does at least harbour some anger towards his mother for it. Because it was a choice Rhaenyra made. I mean, yes, she had affection for Harwin Strong. I think he was weirdly way older than her and should not have been sleeping with her, but you know, she found comfort and affection with him, but having his children and passing them off as Targaryen when they obviously aren't is a huge thing that destabilizes the realm further. So I understood Jace's upset, but I did also enjoy from like a spectator of the story that he was like, so it's so fascinating because this hurt him so deeply, and yet it was his initial idea, but he just thought they'd find the highborn people who were descendants of Targaryens, and then Rhaenyra knows it's hurting him, but she still has to do it for the war. Those people, I mean, I would like to know if a couple of them decided. I think the woman, at the very least, that he saved, I can't remember his name, I know he's like a mason or a bricklayer or something. She ran through a tunnel and seemed to get out. I think a couple of people managed to slip past the guards. But when you're at the point when Vermithor is starting to light everybody on fire, if the people are trying to flee, the guards should have just let them flee, but they were clearly under orders not to. Because if you're running away from the dragon's not going to think that person. I mean, okay, actually, Sea Smoke did think that, but it's unlikely to work with Vermithor. I did enjoy seeing the moment of him standing, like, he protected the woman from running or fleeing too soon, and then when she was in danger, he called and got attention and was fully prepared to die so that this random woman he'd never met before could live. Though it didn't seem like it was, I know you, maybe that was his sister from the pleasure house, I don't know, but it didn't seem like he knew her at all and he was willing to die for her, which does make you feel like he is a good man and someone who is deserving of this honour and will hopefully use it wisely. And again, with an asterisk to that, is the fact that in the previous episode, we saw him stealing someone else's food to try and take to his family because he was desperate. It shows you that even good people can do desperate things, even good people can make mistakes. So Rhaenyra now has many dragons, and she may even get another one because Rhaena is roaming the hills of the Vale to find a wild dragon. Nobody from the party, I suppose they thought she's grown, she can look out for herself, and by the time they figured out she was missing, I mean, what would you do? Would you like, I felt like if you figured out that Prince Daemon's daughter and the Queen's stepdaughter was missing, I think you'd have to go back to the Vale and be like, we lost a member of our party, could you send out some search parties, please? Instead of just travelling onto the ship, unless she'd told the attendants, I won't be joining you, go ahead with the boys, I don't know. So maybe she's going to rock up with the dragon as well, and in that case the Blacks will be even more superpowered, because this dragon could even be bigger. If it's just a random wild dragon, it could be the biggest dragon yet, we don't know. So the biggest tactical advantage the Greens had is in many ways gone, because one dragon fighting, oh my brain fog, Aemon's dragon, I know her name. One dragon fighting her wasn't going to stand a chance, but if they can all attack at the same time, they will stand much more of a chance. And he retreated. Now I'm intrigued about Rhaenyra's uncle, Rhaenyra's bastard uncle, because that's what he is, right? He said it was Balon who was his dad, right? Riding over King's Landing. Now, was that Rhaenyra sending a message, go right over King's Landing, or was that just he claimed a dragon, hopped on it, and the dragon went, I'm off to King's Landing, and he was just having the time of his life riding a dragon and couldn't really control it? Because it definitely tipped their hand to the Greens, but it also was a good warning. You know, Aegon, I presume, followed him home, or at least wanted to go and make his own, like, I have a dragon too, but then realised quickly that they had more. So things are not going well for the Greens, and in some ways, Aegon recovering strength is also not good for the Greens, because it will cause a power dynamic, a power shift, if he tries to start asserting himself and tries to start saying, well, I'm the king and I want to make decisions, and then you've got Aemond, who's quite enjoying having all this power, and Otto Hightower is just, maybe he's also roaming the Vale. Maybe Otto Hightower's going to roam up on a dragon, like, hey, I've been off fighting a dragon. Where is this man? He caused this entire mess with his meddling and scheming, and then the plan didn't go to plan because he wasn't able to figure out how other humans would act, and so he just fucked off. Where is the man? City in Black, they are fully armed with their nukes. Now, Daemon, I mean, Oscar Tully, 10 out of 10, we like this kid. I mean, yes, one of his very first orders was to have someone executed. Probably could have sent him to the wall or something. There were alternatives. But I enjoyed the way this kid just fully took the reins, wasn't afraid to stand up to Daemon. Now, a decent chunk of that is because he knows he has his people around. If Daemon kills him, they're not going to be very loyal. But he still was willing to stand up to Daemon, something that a lot of people would not be. I wouldn't be brave enough to do it. And you could really see that he was taught well how to follow in his grandfather's footsteps, that he was molded and groomed to this place. That yes, they're gonna say you're young, but he knew exactly what to say and do to make sure that they did trust him and did look to him as a leader. And I do think Viserys could have taken notes, because while Rhaenyra is brilliant, and I'm not doubting her capability as a leader, he did absolutely nothing to prepare her or make sure that she was seen as the rightful heir to the throne, and now look where we are. So Daemon is gonna get his army, and I'm guessing at this point he is gonna be helping Rhaenyra. Is his final vision the final one he's had so far at least, where Viserys was like, do you really want it? Like, it crushes everyone that wears it, do you want it? Is this Daemon kind of inwardly experiencing his sort of getting all of his I'm gonna be king out of his system, and now he's willing to be the prince consort or the king consort? Is he going to declare for Rhaenyra? I have a feeling he will, because narratively speaking, it would just, in terms of Rhaenyra would have the most dragons, but she would not have an army worth anything. And while yes, the most dragons might be enough to win the day, I don't know. I feel like narratively Daemon probably will choose to side with her ultimately. But we will see what happens there. Alicent just went to have a little break in nature. Now, you know what? I don't think she's had a holiday in her life. No, I mean, I feel like Alicent is a character who I will defend staunchly to the end of the earth, with the huge asterisk of she is not perfect, she's made a fuck ton of mistakes. I'm not trying to defend her by saying she is a perfect, unblemished character, but I will defend her to the end of the earth that she is a traumatized woman who was raised by an emotionally abusive father, who groomed her into being with the king, who was groomed by the king, was married to a man way too old, became a mother when she was still a child herself, didn't even have her own mother to rely upon, completely without friends, without allies, without anybody she could trust, having to navigate this world on her own, and she's made a mess of it. But she'd never had a chance to do anything else with the tools she was given. She didn't have even a shred of the privilege Rhaenyra did. And she breaks my heart. So I feel like in this episode, it was very much a case of everything that's happened, everything she's already lost, seeing how it's all falling apart. The thing she wanted to do was protect her children, she's failing at that. Having the scar in the exact same place Rhaenyra has the scar from when she was with the dagger. I think she just wanted to go and have a moment of peace, have that moment of just being away from it all, just for once in her life. She took a beat and she took a moment. I can't lie, mildly concerned she was somewhat suicidal and was just going to try and like end everything in that lake. But maybe she just needed some time. I think in order to fully understand what was going through her head, we're going to need to see what she does next. Like, if she did fill her pockets with stones. I really don't think that's what happened, and I hope that's not what happened. If she comes back and she's determined, she's saying, Aemond, no, you're not doing that. I'm asserting my power. I'm going to try and take back power. If she's going to try and avert the war somehow, I don't know how she could, but going to try. If this is kind of just her clearing her head, trying to figure out who she is as a person and what she wants next, rather than just what the world wants from her. It's going to be interesting. And I feel like we didn't really get the explanation of what she was doing or why. Part of me now, I was half expecting Otto to just bob up along next to her, like, hey, I'm also piecing out away from everything, because where is the man that instigated all of this mess? Very good episode. Definitely putting all the pieces in place for what I presume is going to be an epic and devastating finale. I'm really enjoying this show. I know there are some people who are like, it's boring, or not even boring, but like it's more about kind of, in a lot of ways, it's about court intrigue and the Game of Thrones and how the pieces are moved and what the things do, rather than just big dragon fight all the time. And I think we're getting to big dragon fight all the time part, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm so excited for the finale. But I'm also like, I was actually, as I was getting ready to film this reaction, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure every single character I care about is going to suffer terribly and or die. Like, this is definitely one of those wars where even when you win, you don't really feel like you've won because you've lost so much. So it's kind of like, well, what? It's just gonna be fucking miserable. So yeah, looking forward to next week. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.